everybody. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, and I've just done my 10,000 steps for today. I'm doing these videos as part of recovery from the trauma of watching my little brother, Paul, 64, with Down syndrome, be locked up and isolated by his group home, run by the British Columbia New Democratic Party. So they locked up Paul on September 10th of 2022, 3 days after I had complained to the Burnaby RCMP about what I believe to be a fraudulent and forged power of attorney that the government created to give Paul the COVID-19 shot. I didn't find out about this power of attorney for a year. It was created on February 1st of 2021. So they locked Paul away after we had been visiting at will for 64 years. They isolated him in his group home for 588 days or 178 missed scheduled visits. I had a contract with the government that I could visit Paul twice a week, once at the group home, once at my home. And then when they had appointed my 82-year-old Catholic nun sister, who Paul had only met a few times, as his guardian. She lives 4,000 kilometers away in a convent in northern Ontario. So they appointed her as his guardian, and when they discovered that the government had been, or the RCMP police had been ordered to reopen the investigation into what I alleged to be the fraudulent and forged power of attorney, they found that out on March 27th of 2024. They applied to have me declared a vexatious litigant. That's a very rare designation in Canada, which takes away your access to the courts of Canada without permission of a judge. So even to respond to a case against you, you have to apply to a judge for permission to file an affidavit. And I was declared a vexatious litigant on November 29th of 2024. And I applied to appeal that decision to the Court of Appeal of British Columbia on March 28th of 2025, and I was not successful. My appeal was dismissed, and within 26 days, Paul was dead. So Paul had, they say he had a stroke on April 13th of 2024. And after he had a stroke or he was admitted to Burnaby Hospital, I was permitted to visit with him under supervision of this nun for 10 minutes a day for the 10 days that he survived. He appeared to me to be recovering from whatever. He had grabbed my hand when I said my name and squeezed it very tightly. He sat up and grabbed a book from my hand and turned the pages perfectly. He was on a ventilator. He was receiving medical supports. But when the nun found out that I got a call from the Burnaby RCMP Staff Sergeant Dean Urquhart on Sunday, April 21st of 2024. And he told me the Burnaby RCMP had been ordered to reopen the investigation into this fraudulent and forged power of attorney over Paul. When the nun found out that I had been contacted by the RCMP, I believe she ordered the medical staff at Burnaby Hospital to remove Paul's medical supports. So his ventilator, his oxygen mask was removed. And I believe he was sedated to death. I believe that they did medical assistance in dying on him. I've complained to the Burnaby RCMP and to the British Columbia coroner. And there is an ongoing investigation into his death. So that's where things stand now. I have appealed the designation, my designation as a vexatious litigant to the Supreme Court of Canada. I've applied for permission to appeal that, and all of those documents were filed on September 3rd of 2025. And I'm just waiting now to hear back from the Supreme Court of Canada as to whether or not I'll be given permission to appeal that designation, which completely takes away my access to the courts. The average citizen that has access to all the courts of Canada, my designation as a vexatious litigant for trying to visit my brother has been taken away. I practiced law I was called to the bar on May 15th of 1992, and I practiced law until June 1st of 2014. And I helped a lot of people. So I've been designated, as I said, I've been designated a vexatious litigant and had all my access to the courts of Canada taken away for trying to visit my brother. And I'm just waiting to hear back from the Supreme Court of Canada on whether I'll be granted permission to appeal that decision. So that's where things stand now. Please contact the registry at the Supreme Court of Canada. I'll put the telephone number in the description box below or above, and ask them what the status is of my application for leave to appeal. I suffer from a potentially life-threatening cardiac condition. And, I'm almost 70. None of us knows how much longer we have. The nun is almost 84. So it might become a moot point if either of us die. So please contact the registry of the Supreme Court of Canada in Ottawa and ask for the status of my application for leave to appeal. Thank you all for following this very sad story. I notice, many people in Canada followed the story of the ostriches that were ordered to be killed by the Canadian Food and Drug Agency, and that were actually killed. They were shot to death. But far fewer people have followed this case, which has involved two human beings, two legally disabled human beings, my little brother Paul Kierans, 65, and me. So please follow up and contact the Supreme Court of Canada and ask for the status of my application for permission to appeal my designation as a vexatious litigant, which takes away my access to the courts of Canada. Thank you all.